On today's Locked On Thunder podcast, the Oklahoma City Thunder welcome in the Dallas Mavericks in what is an important game, even though a key player is missing, plus your mailbag questions.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, media member, and Inside the Thunder beatwriter.com. Wait, InsideTheThunder.com beat writer, Rylan Styles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Styles. Follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod. Email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. On today's show, we're diving into this very important game against Dallas, even though Luka is not going to play, why it's so important for Oklahoma City, and also discussing your mailbag questions. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Go download the Game Time app, use the code Locked On, and when you do, you get $20 off your first purchase. That's $20 off your first purchase when you use Locked On at Game Time with the Game Time app. Well, this game against Dallas did take a little bit of a hit. It was kind of a wild day. At first, Jalen Williams was off the injury report, and it was awesome. This was going to be a TNT game, 9 p.m. tip. It's going to be funky. It's going to be weird, but it's going to be fun because the Thunder are at full strength. And at the time, when that initial injury report came out, Dallas was at full strength, as they've been a team that has suffered injuries, like they were going to be as close to regular as they've been in a while. And then Dallas had to play the Warriors on the first night of a back-to-back. This was a makeup game. And Luka leaves the game early. He leaves the game early with a ankle sprain, and he is out for this game. But they're going to actually call it hamstring soreness now. At the time, it looked like more like his ankle maybe, but it's hamstring soreness. So now the Mavericks, to their credit though, still healthy besides Luka, but that's a big besides. Like Brandon Williams, Omax, Greg Brown, Alex Fudge, those are the guys that are out for the Mavericks besides Luka. That's a huge miss, though. And so the importance is now flipped to a different meaning. So whenever it was going to be that Luka was going to play and this team was going to be healthy for the first time in a long time, it was going to be, hey, the Thunder got their guy back after missing one game. The Mavs, who've dealt with so many injuries this year, they've been through the ringer in terms of injuries. They're healthy. And this was going to be an important data point of best on best, a possible playoff series. And what the Thunder have done is that they have played well enough at 45-20. They've played well enough that they are going to be a top 6 seed in the West. And they're obviously going to be a top 4 seed in the West. Just that's how good they've been. They've solidified that. And with at least being top 6, and we all know if they're going to host, with being top 4, you've earned yourself an entire week off heading into your first playoff game. And we talk a lot about bye weeks in the NFL because it's a more natural concept in football because you get them throughout the season. You know, one a season. College had 2 this year in the season. But you get them throughout the season, so it's a more normal thing that happens. And we always talk about guys like Andy Reid and other great coaches who their record off a bye week is so good because they spend all that time prepping and all that time getting ready for their next opponent. And then, of course, in football, if you have a bye week, it turns into really 2 weeks off in a way because you're now a whole week off, then a week of prep, and then you play the game. But you can sort of shoehorn that kind of train of thought into the NBA playoffs. If you have a good coach, which I think the Thunder do. I think the Thunder have one of the best, just students of the game type of just make adjustments on the fly. And also I think that he'll be really good at making adjustments that are calculated and planned. And you give Mark an entire week to prep an entire week to review all the data points that you have, both of whoever the matchup is, whatever their season looked like, and then also those 3 or 4 games you played against them in the regular season. You review those, and then you can come out in the first 2 games where you're going to have home court. And if history tells us anything, it's going to be one of the best home courts in the NBA. And you can really steal a couple games by just throwing teams off or taking away what you know they're going to want to do. Take away what you think is going to be their calling card, and you steal a couple games to start a series. It really puts you in prime position to advance. So getting one of those data points would have been huge. Like getting that data point of this is Luka, this is Kyrie, this is everybody that you're going to see in the playoffs. They're healthy, and J-Dub's back, and both teams are healthy. This is what a playoff series would look like. No offense to Omax and Alex Fudge, but this is what a playoff series would look like if they had Luka and missed those guys. You go from that to now it has importance for a different reason. Now the importance shifts to you just lost your 9-game home winning streak to Indiana. You look at the Western Conference standings and things are tight. Things are very tight in the West. It shifts to now you're fully healthy. The Mavericks are going to have to change the way that they play because they're not going to have Luka, which of course is the heliocentric piece of their team. You're a half game back of first place in the West. You're only a game up of third place in the West. You're 3.5 games up of fourth place in the West, but the Clippers, are not really inspiring many right now. And of course, the Timberwolves, without Cat, are seemingly going to take a step back for the final 15 games of the season. But you're a half game back of Denver. And when you look at this game, there should be a pretty good crowd. Now, I don't know that for a fact because I'm not a parent, but in my mind, most people, you're going to have school spring break next week. You let your kid go to the game at 9 p.m. You take them out of school the next day. It's fine. We never did anything. The day before breaks. So just let them go, or her girl go. Let your kid go and enjoy a basketball game at 9 p.m. So I would project this is going to be a raucous crowd with no Luka. Now you've got to capitalize on that. Now you've got to go get back on track and get this win. The Thunder have also shown that they're extraordinarily good at doing that, at responding. Home, road, good team, bad team. They're really good at responding to nights like Tuesday, where they just didn't have it. And Tuesday, they also didn't have J-Dub, which I think is going to be something that should be remembered, is that you didn't have J-Dub, who's your second best option. And just like in this game with Dallas, like if you lose your first or second best option, that's going to change the entire complexity of what you do. And it did that against Indiana. The Thunder are 7-3 in their last 10 games. Dallas is 5-5 in their last 10 games. And Dallas, talk about at the top of the West. Dallas, they're a game and a half away from 6th seed. And they'd love to get into the safe 6, so to say. To not put more taxing on the Luka Doncic and these other players. And a benefit of the top 6 would be, a benefit of being specifically 6th, if you're a team that's going to be trying to make it out of the play-in, is that at least if you're 6, you not only get that week off, but you get that prep time of having a locked-in opponent. The play-in tournament, really for all parties involved, is a lot like, including the teams, Denver and OKC in this case, that are waiting for the opponent, is a lot like the NCAA tournament, where you're having to truly treat it like a tournament and scout, and your scout is going to be like, hey, let's split the team up. You guys go watch the Suns. You guys go watch the Mavs. You guys go watch the Lakers. You guys go watch the Warriors. And like everyone come back. We're going to regroup and put up all of our scout, onto whoever advances. Whereas if you have your matchup locked in, it's a all hands on deck effort to win that series and to win that matchup. So all these things really do matter. These things are going to pay out in the end of how this all unfolds. And now it turns into more of a, hey, you really got to win if Luka Doncic isn't going to play. Like, I think that the Thunder should win this game. Thunder should be favorites in this game. I think that they are, of course. They've been one of the best home court teams in the West, which plays into it as well. They should win this game. Daniel Gafford is like 2 makes away from breaking Wilt Chamberlain's record for most makes in a row. That's cool. It'll be a fun game still. Luka not being there is not going to be fun because it's Luka's a great player to watch and everything. But the Thunder should win this game, and it kind of just changes the relevancy of the game in a 180 effect versus what it was originally coming into the day. But we'll talk about your mailbag questions all coming up. But first, I want to say right now, our good friends over at Nissan USA. Nissan USA is great because are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little bit further? Ever wonder what adventure could be right around the corner? Our friends over at Nissan had a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. Go check them out today. It's the 2024 Nissan Rogue. It's perfect for city drivers with a chance to have a great escape as well because of their class exclusive Google built-in. It's always updating you as your assistant to call and maps and everything else that you need with a 12.3-inch HD touchscreen with an entertainment system as well, information system. So go there right now. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. You also could get into a 2024 Nissan Pathfinder, which has room for 8, expansive cargo capacity, and advanced availability with 4x4 capacity. So check it out today with 84 horsepower with up to 6,000 pounds towing with adventure calls, and the Pathfinder is going to be the one that answers to get you where you want to go. So go there right now to take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, and go to your next great adventure, including the Nissan Armada as well. Go to nissanusa.com to shop there and get what you need for your next great adventure. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. We're here for you, talking Thunder basketball. Subscribe for free across all podcasting platforms so you never miss an episode. Let's start with the mailbag questions. Saved by Wiggins, thoughts on Shai and his late game foul against the Pacers to go get 30 points. Listen, this is one of the most strange social media fodders in a while. Every NBA star, no matter what they say, cares about the stat sheet, cares about the box score. If I had to guess, I think that Shai fouled on accident in the sense of didn't realize that there's literally no shot to come back. And then when you foul and they make the free throws and you get the ball in, you might as well go score. You're not going to, as a team that's losing, you're not going to take a shot clock violation at that point. But even if he did it intentionally to go get 30 points, okay. I mean, Luka Doncic this same week, just to use one example, and especially of a team that you're going to play tonight. Of course, Luka won't be there. But Luka Doncic this week stayed in a 30-point blowout to go get 30. It is what it is. It happens in the NBA. It happens at every level, really. And so Shai got 30. I don't think that it matters. He'll get 30 again tonight. He'll get 30 again Saturday. He'll get 30 again, next Wednesday. So it was a cool 30, I guess, because you were able to break Kevin Durant's single season record. But he'll be able to put that record away, if he stays healthy this year, because he's got 17, 18, I guess it's 17 or 16 games left to put up more 30 pieces and to cement that record for Thunder, for the Thunder franchise. But it did not really bother me at all. It did not really influence me one way or the other, to be honest with you, because it's just what NBA players do. Big Sports Guy 100. How much does J-Dub's secondary creation scoring ability affect Shai's shot quality? I mean, it helps. It clearly has to help. You go from having a guy in J-Dub who can go create his own shot who can bully his way to the rim, who can get you a bucket, to when he's not on the floor. You don't have that. Chet's still a rookie. Chet's kind of fallen into a similar spot to where J-Dub was last year, where like you want him to be more aggressive, you want him to shoot more. Chet's, positionally, it's also more difficult to go get your own shot, just by and large. But of course, part of that's him being a rookie. And no one else on the floor can do what J-Dub can do. So whenever he's not on the floor, you can put all your attention on Shai. Whereas whenever J-Dub is on the floor, it turns back to that pick your poison, offense, because if you load up on Shai, J-Dub will make you pay. If you play them both flat out and you play them both straight up, then Shai can make you pay easily. But I thought on Tuesday specifically, Shai was just off in general. Like you could play the Washington Generals and Shai would have missed some of those shots because he got to his spots and he broke down the defense well a lot of the times, and the shots just didn't go in. Sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way. This is a similar question to Brian Smith. Was Tuesday's loss against Indiana J-Dub's absence or shots not falling? I think that it's both, in the sense of, if you had a night like Tuesday where shots weren't falling, the odds say that everyone wouldn't have been off. Like J-Dub wouldn't have also been off if he was fully healthy. So J-Dub could have kind of carried the tide and helped the Thunder in that game. So I think it's a little bit of both. Like I think the Thunder still probably would have had their shots simply not fall, as they did for a lot of that game. And in addition to that, J-Dub, especially during that third quarter run, especially to capitalize on that third quarter run to start the fourth quarter, and J-Dub would have been able to tip the scale, so to say. So I do think it's both. You can say the loss is more on the fact that you didn't have J-Dub because of how good he is, but they both play a role. At MK325491, I'm a Texas Rangers fan. They're coming off a World Series title. Do you think that they are similar to the Thunder, and if so, in which ways? I think that the Rangers are similar to the Thunder. Not really, but I don't. I'm trying to think of that Rangers roster. Obviously, they made two massive free agency signings of Seager and Simeon. That's something that the Thunder have not done, and in all likelihood will not do, just based on market size and things like that. But they did draft a lot of their guys. They still have two top 5 prospects in baseball after winning the World Series. It's a good question. It's more of like a summertime question. But the Thunder, I think that the Thunder, I'll use this question to spin it into, I saw a clip from Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce's podcast. I believe it's called Certified, or KG Certified, or just Certified maybe. You can find it very easily. And KG was giving glowing reviews about the Thunder and talking about how they want the smoke and they want all of these things. They want the attention, they want the smoke, they want these big games. There's something about this Thunder team that I think that you can use whatever analogy you want to. They don't know any better, so they don't know they're supposed to be intimidated. They don't know they're supposed to be afraid of the big stage or wait their turn. They want all the smoke. Like, they're not afraid of anyone at all. Period. Whatever it is, the Thunder have it. Now, this is going to be an insanely tough Western Conference. This is going to be one of, if not the most talented and toughest conferences we've seen in league history. So I can't promise anything, that they're going to win any amount of games, that they're going to win any amount of series. But I really do not think that the inexperience is going to be what dooms them. I think that what dooms them is just going to be, hey, the other team played really well. The Thunder played really well. Someone had to lose the series. Like, if you go lose to Denver, if you win a playoff series and you get all the way to the conference finals and lose to Denver because you're going to be on opposite sides of the bracket, is that because you were inexperienced, or is that because Denver is exceptionally good? So, like, I don't think that this team will be unraveled by their inexperienced. I don't think that when the calendar returns to April, all of a sudden they're going to stop playing good basketball. So they might be able to kind kind of have that it factor of a team that just is hot, stays hot, and just runs through it, even though historically we haven't really seen many teams like this Thunder one that are so young and also so good. Coming up, we're talking about size, Gordon Hayward's future, and the Charlotte Hornets. We'll talk about all that coming up. But first, let's say right now, but good friends over at Game Time, folks. Go there right now and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. It's last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. This is a great game to use Game Time for. It's a 9 p.m. tip. You don't know how you're going to feel at 9 p.m. Are you going to have your second wind? Are you going to be really hyped and energetic? Are you going to be crashing, a little bit tired, a little bit sleepy? So let the day unfold and let that dictate to you if you want to go to this game tonight, and you can use the benefits of Game Time in your decision-making process, because Game Time, last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. They also have flash deals and zone deals that can help you out as well. A view from your seat at every venue so you know what things look like. Lowest prices guaranteed, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. They have it all for you. And I also love it for the NBA just in general, because oftentimes superstars are questionable, and that will kind of swing you one way or the other of if you want to go or not. And you can wait it out and wait till the last minute and find out if your favorite player is going to play, and then you can make the decision to go or not go to the game with Game Time. So go check it out today, because Game Time has the deals for you. It has tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after the event has started. So go there right now to Game Time. Check them out today. Go download the app and make an account and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Use code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off your first purchase. Go download the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. We're back on the Lockdown Thunder podcast on the Lockdown Podcast Network, your team every day. So let's dive into more of your mailbag questions. Milo says, in a way, the Thunder have invested $55 million in 2 first-round picks in Gordon Hayward. I would not look at it that way, especially because, for example, one of your 2 first-round picks, I imagine, is going to be like Trey Mann. No offense to Trey Mann, but he was never going to play in OKC anyway. So they would have either traded Trey Mann for Gordon Hayward as they did, or not resign Gordon Hayward. Not resign Trey Mann at the end of the line and kind of had him walk for nothing. So I would look at it that way, but this does tie into some more questions, like one from Jimmy the Greek that says, Brian Windhorst said that Sam Presti have been trying to get Gordon Hayward for the last 3 years. Do you believe the Thunder want Hayward for the long term if he plays well the rest of this season? So all the Gordon Hayward questions. I think the Thunder would love to re-sign Gordon Hayward on a deal that makes sense for all sides involved, because I think that he kind of fits what the Thunder are going to want to do. I think that for Gordon Hayward, the benefit would be he's probably comfortable in Oklahoma, probably comfortable with this team. And at this stage in his career, could he really have a more expansive role than what he has on a good contending team? I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't think that he'll have a shot to play for a contender and get a bigger role. And so at that point, at this age, you've already, by the time that you get to decision-making time on your contract, you've already played a quarter of a season with the team. You've already went through a playoff run with the team. You're then going to have a full off season, in training camp with the team. Would you really want to start all over again from ground zero, or just continue to build this in OKC? I think the Thunder would be open to bringing him back. I think that he should be open to coming back to Oklahoma City. And I wouldn't just say this is automatically just a 18-game whatever trade. I think that there's a chance that this is a more long-term partnership than that. But that's just a complete guess. And I think that Windhorst, I think that the Thunder, would want Hayward. He kind of fits what they do. So we'll see. I would not just assume that this will be the way of like a Dario Saric you bring in and just don't even think about re-signing, and it's kind of over. From Key Picks, are you an Oklahoma Sooners fan as well, or are you not much into college sports? Also appreciate all the pod and Thunder content, Boomer Sooner. I keep up with OU because they're local and just want to be familiar with what's going on. I wouldn't say I'm like a fan of OU, but I do keep up with them. I am a fan of KU, Tennessee football because of my family, but I do keep up with OU. I know all the little intricacies of OU. I saw they lost a big time prospect yesterday. That was probably not great for OU, but either way, we'll talk about it all on Locked On Sooners. Go check them out as well. Charles says, wish that the Thunder would have kept Micic. I mean, he's been playing fine for Charlotte, but he would not have factored into to much of what the Thunder were going to do. He was hitting a stride a little bit in OKC, but I don't think that he would have carved out a sustained role in the playoffs, especially. But yeah, I mean, good for him to be playing well in Charlotte. Milo says, do you expect Oos to have an impact on the stretch/playoffs or mostly be a G League player? I mean, it's going to be really tough for him to crack the playoff rotation. I think that he'll finish the season out with the G. Had a good two games in Iowa. He'll go play, and they have the Texas Legends left. They have a few games left. They have a couple games against Greensboro Swarm left. So he'll play in the G League for the rest of the season. I don't think it'll crack the playoff rotation. I think that this summer will be a big deal for him, and then next year you could see him be a guy who gets some real NBA minutes next year. But it'll be really tough for him to get into the playoff conversation. We've had a whole podcast though last Friday on Oos, so go back and listen to that because he has improved, and I told you how he's improved back then. RK Anthony says tied for first in the West, and yet FanDuel is giving 4 teams better odds to win it all. How should Mark approach the rest of the season to prepare for the teams for what looks like a stacked deck? Yeah, I mean, a lot goes into odds to win the NBA Finals, more so than just record and more so than just standings. So part of that is who Vegas thinks people will bet on. For example, not in this case, but for example, the Lakers are always juiced up because people are going to bet on the Lakers no matter what. So their odds are always juiced to kind of incentivize that. And right now on FanDuel, the odds to win the NBA championship, the overall actual NBA championship, is Boston, Denver, Clippers, Bucks, Thunder. So those are the odds to win the NBA championship. So I don't think that anyone's being disrespected, of course, in these odds. And I think that the Thunder just have to go play their best basketball. It sounds silly, but this is going to be a war of attrition. This is going to be who stays healthiest. Who stays healthiest in this playoff series, in this playoff format, and who gets hot at the right time. Because for a while there, the Clippers were peaking, and they looked like they were going to be an exceptionally good team. Not so much now. Minnesota, they are completely different without Cat. So those things can really change on a dime. And that's kind of the approach, is just, can you stay healthy? Can you peak at the right time? RK also says, they say it's not the size of the dog, but the bark of the dog. But how much bigger are his trainers shooting for Chet? Look, I don't think that Chet's gonna ever come back and look like Giannis or look like some jacked up, just insanely strong guy. I just don't think that's gonna be the goal, and it shouldn't be the goal for him. You may never notice a huge difference in him muscularly. I think that would take away him and Victor, would take away from some of the stuff that they do really well. So I don't think that this conversation will be one that will last for a very long time. I mean, he's already dominating the NBA. He's going to get somewhat bigger, just naturally as he grows up. But I don't think that's going to be a point of emphasis for him. We'll talk more about your mailbag questions, including this one. If Shai wants to win MVP, he should worry about winning a playoff series first. Well, the MVP awards are voted on before the playoffs, so that will not really play into it. And I see this a lot, and of course, this is from a Nuggets fan. I see this a lot from opposing fan bases about Shai. What did you want him to do? At what point did he fail? I would say his playoff series includes as a first-year player. He played the Golden State Warriors in the first round. Did you want him to go win that series as a rookie for Doc Rivers? His second playoff series was in the bubble. He went 7 games against Russ and James Harden and the Rockets. Okay, I mean they could have won that series. They lost in 7. And then, the Thunder were repositioning and were not in contention at all for a couple of seasons. And then last year, they went to the play-in tournament, won a road play-in game in New Orleans, and then fell short against Minnesota. Without, by the way, their highest draft pick of the rebuild in Chet Holmgren. So, when did you want him to go pick up that playoff series win before now to legitimize his season? And also, this is a regular season award. We've seen all kinds of players win the award. Dirk getting put out by the Warriors. Russell Westbrook won the award having lost the first round series. And I get your point of win a series just in your career first before you're in that MVP talk. But again, this is just about this season. And this season, Shai's been the most valuable and best player in the sport. Yes, Jokic has been awesome. Jokic has won his MVPs and has been great and deserves, and has a shot to have a case and does have a case, I should say, to deserve this MVP. This is going to be a very brutal MVP race to split hairs to figure out who should win it. But the playoff series stuff, it's just a little bit disingenuous whenever it comes to Shai and comes to this season. Shai has the best or the second best case. It's either Jokic or Shai to win this award for me. And we'll see. We'll see what the voters go with and what the voters decide. But until tonight, after this game against Dallas, late night. Until then, be good and be good to one another.